This is the early edition, a curated weekday guide to major news and developments over the past 24 hours, curated by Lizzie Jennings and read by an automated voice. Published July 30th, 2026 on Just Security, an essential resource for those shaping a just and secure world. Here's today's news. Iran war. U.S. Central Command announced new strikes on Iran overnight in response to Iranian forces targeting U.S. military assets in the Middle East. CENTCOM said early this morning that it had completed a heavy wave of strikes on Iran, targeting military command centers, missile and drone factories, and a coastal surveillance site. Iran's official IRNA news agency said 3 people were killed and 2 were wounded in a strike on the island of Kashm. Max Barak, Farnaz Fasihi, and Pranav Bhaskar report for The New York Times. Sami Magdi and Elena Bekatoros report for AP News. An Iranian strike hit a Chinese firm's building in northern Kuwait this morning, severely damaging the structure and killing a worker, Kuwait's military said, hours after Jordan shot down 5 missiles launched from Iran. The attacks came after the U.S. military said it had completed its latest strikes against Iran. Sami Magdi and Elena Bekatoros report for AP News. 2 ships, including a U.S.-owned gas storage tanker, caught fire in the Egyptian port of Damietta yesterday. President Trump told reporters that Iran was responsible, without offering details. He said the incident was more of the same, and reissued his promise to hit Iran very hard. The Egyptian authorities said today that a preliminary investigation suggested a drone caused the fires. No country has taken responsibility for the attack. Zain Irwin, Peter Evis, Farnaz Fasihi, and Pranav Bhaskar report for The New York Times. Tala Ramadan reports for Reuters. Trump met yesterday with Saudi Defense Minister Prince Khalid bin Salman at the White House, a U.S. official and another source told Axios. The meeting was added to the Saudi minister's itinerary after he met with Vice President J.D. Vance and told him that Saudi Arabia favors de-escalation with Iran, despite this week's joint U.S.-Saudi strike on pro-Iranian militias in Iraq, the source said. Iran war, Lebanon. The Israeli military said yesterday that Hezbollah launched an explosive drone at one of its vehicles on the Ali al-Tahrir Ridge in southern Lebanon. A Hezbollah spokesman said the group did not claim responsibility for an operation on the ridge area and accused Israel of using false pretexts to continue its attacks in Lebanon. Abdi Latif Dahir reports for The New York Times. Iran war. Other developments. In a White House meeting on Tuesday, Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu carried out a clinical review of 3 strategies toward Iran: a diplomatic agreement, intensifying economic pressure, and ramping up the blockade, or renewing military actions, according to a senior Israeli official. The official added that Netanyahu did not express a preference for any of the options, and told Trump it was his decision. Lara Seligman, Philip Wegman, and Vera Bergengruen report for The Wall Street Journal. Barak Ravid reports for Axios. Some U.S. troops in Jordan have been told that their phones will be confiscated in the coming days, 2 sources told Reuters. A third source said such a move was being considered in the region due to operational security concerns, but did not present the confiscation as certain. The head of U.S. Central Command, Admiral Brad Cooper, said in a letter earlier this week that Iran was benefiting from being able to see the success or failure of its strikes in near real time by searching news reports or online posts by journalists referencing reactions, photos, and footage from the cell phones of our troops. Russia-Ukraine war. Russia attacked Ukraine overnight with more than 70 missiles and about 280 drones, killing at least 8 people, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said. The Ukrainian Air Force said that Kyiv and the western region of Lviv on Ukraine's border with Poland were the main focus of the attack. Air defense units shot down 55 missiles and 265 drones, but only 1 of 9 ballistic missiles, the Air Force added. Olena Harmash and Andriy Peru report for Reuters. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha said a Russian cruise missile crossed into Poland during the strikes. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk told an emergency meeting this morning that all the indications are that it was a Russian Kh-101 ballistic missile, but we want to be 100% certain about the type of missile and who launched it. Tusk added that there was no direct threat because the missile had landed in an uninhabited area. Israel-Hamas war. The Israeli military yesterday bombed a mosque in Gaza, accusing Hamas of using it to store weapons. Hamas responded that Israel's claims aimed to justify its attacks on mosques and were entirely false. Zahir al-Wahibi, a statistician at the Gaza Health Ministry, said health officials did not record any deaths or injuries from the strike. Adam Razgan and Iyad Abu Hawela report for the New York Times. Israeli strikes today killed at least 4 people in Gaza, including 2 children, health officials said. The Israeli military said the strikes targeted Hamas militants, without providing further details. Nidal al-Maghrabi reports for Reuters. West Bank violence. The UN Human Rights Office warned yesterday of worsening violence by Israeli settlers in the occupied West Bank, urging international action against the killing of Palestinians, as well as the creation of settlements. According to UN figures, 18 Palestinians have been killed in incidents linked to settler attacks so far this year, compared with 17 in the whole of 2025. The Palestinian Authority says at least 20 Palestinians have been killed by settlers since the start of the year. Olivia Lepoidovin reports for Reuters. Other global developments. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim said yesterday that Myanmar has agreed to take 5,000 Rohingya asylum seekers currently in Malaysia, with authorities set to identify and screen those selected before coordinating their repatriation. Muslim-majority Malaysia has long been seen as a safe haven for Rohingya fleeing persecution in the largely Buddhist Myanmar, with around 126,000 Rohingya registered with the UNHCR in Malaysia as of the end of February. Ashley Tang and Daniel Azhar report for Reuters. The World Food Programme Acting Executive Director Carl Scow said yesterday that the rapidly worsening Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo is intensifying an already severe hunger crisis, with millions facing emergency levels of food insecurity amid ongoing conflict. Constance Same-Bagalwa, Prosper Harian-Garara, and Edith M. Lederer report for AP News. Cuba yesterday introduced major economic reforms by easing restrictions on private businesses, allowing for private imports and sales of goods and medicines, and opening more sectors to private and foreign investment to address severe shortages of food, medicine, fuel, and transport. The measures were approved by the Cuban parliament last month and went into effect yesterday. Andrea Rodriguez and Ariel Fernandez report for AP News. U.S. Foreign Affairs. The United States is considering delaying, or even blocking, French President Emmanuel Macron's choice for France's next ambassador to Washington, following France's public criticism of the United States human rights record, 4 sources told Reuters. The United States is very disappointed in the irresponsible and disrespectful rhetoric from the French, a State Department official said. We are responding appropriately to their comments. Gabriel Stargarder, Humera Pamuk, Graham Slattery, and Andrea Shalal report. The Caribbean Court of Justice in Trinidad yesterday ruled that the U.S. extradition process against Guyana's main opposition leader, Azruddin Mohammed, and his father, Nazir Mohammed, can resume. They are both wanted on gold smuggling and money laundering charges. Bert Wilkinson and Danica Kodo report for AP News. Tech developments. OpenAI and Anthropic senior executives have endorsed a petition released on Tuesday requesting that the U.S. government support an international effort to develop technical and governance tools needed to deliberately pace the frontier of automated AI development. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman did not sign the petition himself, but said on a podcast clip released Tuesday that it might be necessary to pace the rate of AI development. Garrett DeVink reports for The Washington Post. OpenAI launched a new program yesterday that provides 100,000 academic researchers with free access to its most advanced AI models through 2027, Axios learned. Ina Fried reports. U.S. Immigration Developments. The Alien Terrorist Removal Court will have its first ever hearing today, according to court documents made public last night. The Justice Department is asking the court to deport Nazira Hajizadeh, whose son was convicted last year for an ISIS-aligned terrorist plot targeting the 2024 election. Zadeh herself has no criminal history, but DOJ described her as having worked to indoctrinate her children with ISIS ideology and have them pledge loyalty to ISIS. ICE officials say efforts to deport her through traditional immigration courts would not suffice. Today's hearing will be held in public, but many details will be withheld from public view and from Zadeh herself. Tierney Sneed reports for CNN. Josh Gerstein and Kyle Cheney report for Politico. The State Department and Uruguay's Foreign Ministry have been discussing a deal to deport Cubans from the United States to Uruguay for months, according to officials. Uruguay entered the negotiations partly because it needs immigrant workers, and partly to win favor with the Trump administration, a senior Uruguayan official said. Edward Wong and Emma Bubola report for the New York Times. Recent reports of immigration arrests at U.S. airports stem from increased collaboration between the Transportation Security Administration and ICE, ICE sources told CBS News. One of the ICE sources said that people traveling at airports are easy targets, who immigration agents can arrest in secured locations and while having information about their cases in advance. The source noted that doing immigration enforcement at airports is a relatively straightforward way to boost arrest levels, at a time when the White House has been pressuring ICE to record 2,000 daily arrests. Camilo Montoya Galvez reports. U.S. Domestic Developments. Republicans yesterday postponed a vote on Todd Blanche's nomination as Attorney General after Senator John Cornyn, R. Texas, and Tom Tillis, RNC, threatened to derail it over the settlement of Trump's lawsuit against the IRS. Glenn Thrush and Michael Gold report for the New York Times. The Senate unanimously passed a resolution yesterday declaring that Ghislaine Maxwell should never receive a presidential pardon. Hans Nichols reports for Axios. Secret Service agents who questioned former FBI Director James B. Comey following his 2025 Instagram post featuring the numbers 8647 were told to quickly send a written summary of the interview to Trump on Air Force One, according to a new court filing by Comey's lawyers. Devlin Barrett and Alan Feuer report for the New York Times. Florida Attorney General James Othmeier said yesterday that he is launching a probe into Dr. Anthony Fauci after the health official invoked the Fifth Amendment more than 100 times during a Senate hearing about the COVID-19 pandemic. Fauci was subpoenaed to testify under oath by Senator Rand Paul, RKY. In his opening statement, Fauci said Paul has an obvious obsession with calling for my prosecution, adding that while it pained him to do so, he was thus following his attorney's advice by taking the Fifth. Max Rigo reports for The Hill. Lauren Neergaard and Ali Swenson report for AP News. Trump administration actions. Trump overruled his own agencies when he denied disaster aid for 4 Democratic-led states this month, according to emails obtained by Politico and state officials. Trump's rejections came after regional offices of FEMA and NOAA determined that the state met government thresholds for receiving aid following a snowstorm in February. Thomas Frank reports. In case you missed it, yesterday on Just Security. Why the Dearth of Female Nominees for UN Secretary General by Tamau Chika, Leah Tricaud, and Claudette Segura. DRC takes Rwanda to the ICJ. Proxy Warfare, Layered Obligations, and the Future of State Responsibility by Joshua Joseph Mio. The U.S. and the EU must wake up to threats in Georgia by Ambassador Retired Ian Kelly and David J. Kramer. Thank you for listening to Just Security's early edition today, July 30th, 2026. If you enjoy listening, Just Security's analytic articles are also available in audio form on the justsecurity.org website. To stay up to date on Just Security's analysis of law, policy, and current events, go to justsecurity.org. Subscribe to Just Security on Substack, and follow us on LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads.